Mum and Dad probably thought, oh, just let him get on with it. He's going to grow out of it. I didn't grow out of it. I sort of grew into it. Having all these fights on the piers and that in Portsmouth. His mum at home. He's like, what's she, son? Took enough medication to wipe 10 men out. And I'm still here. Crime was basically how you put food on the table.
Was your mum a criminal as well, or was she a straight girl?
But I'll have to go no comment on that one.
Okay.
You've been going to other schools, fighting, blah, blah, blah. He says, you've set the library on fire now. He said, son, you are going to do a lot of jail. We've not took no firearms because that wasn't what it was about. Wakes up in a walk-in wardrobe. The little bit of light coming through the two doors is shining through. Covered in blood, even though it was the way it was with crime. There was nothing but love in my house. Turned round, hit him with a pitchfork. The pitchfork's gone straight through his head. Done about 16 years off it. Whap! Just over a second where they don't scream because they're in shock. When she's pulled her leg away, the full print of his face on the inside of her leg. And to be honest, I've always got a smile on my face. I quite like my scar. At first I did it. So for 6 minutes of decisions, got 14 years of jail.
Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast, and today we welcome a Telford criminal that's gone from crime to prison to redemption. So please put your hands together for Mr. Chris Booth, aka Booth is in the house. Hey!
Thank you, Terry. Thank you.
Good to see you, Chrissy.
What's happening,
good to see you,
brother?
brother. Yeah, good, mate.
Thanks for having me on, and I'm humbled to be here, to be quite honest.
Nah, don't be silly, mate. We're humbled to have you on. I mean, it's. I mean, yeah, your story, it's funny because we've had people that have come on here before that have been criminals, but we haven't had people that have come on and their family have been criminals. And you, and like I think when we was chatting, you said crime was a career choice in my family.
Well, yeah, to be quite honest, it was like the norm, So like the early life for me was in Portsmouth. I'm from Telford, but the early life was down in Portsmouth, and my dad was involved with the biker community. So basically, there was 2 houses, walls knocked through, the electric was run off a milk float, and crime was basically, I suppose, it might sound a bit thingy, but it's how you put food on the table.
Right.
So I know that through life, Mum and Dad probably thought, oh, just let him get on with it. He's going to grow out of it. But I didn't grow out of it. I sort of grew into it. And then when I grew into it, there's a load of chaos and carnage that comes with it, right. But I'm not like one of these that just talks about, we done this and we done that. I know that there's a bit of chaos and carnage that comes with it. And so, yeah, that's what I like to do. I just like to own stuff,
Yeah. So obviously growing up as a kid, and like you said, you was at the age of 8, you then moved from Portsmouth to Telford. But when as a kid, I mean, when you grew up in, essentially a crime family where your dad was a criminal, was your mum a criminal as well, or was she a straight girl?
Well, I have to go no comment on that one.
Okay.
My mum's the boss of the family, so, I definitely have to go no comment.
You don't want to get whacked.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to get whacked. Yeah, she makes it on Sunday dinner, to be honest.
Yeah, because there was that case recently where that woman got upset with her family and she put those poisonous mushrooms in the beef.
Exactly. Go on. My mum's giving me extra broccoli.
You don't want that happening.
Yeah, no.
But growing up, I mean, what was it like as a kid growing up? I mean, did you sort of look around and think, my mum and dad aren't like other mums and dads, or was you sort of oblivious to it?
Well, I suppose because when I was growing up in Portsmouth, I grew up on an estate called Poolsgrove and Lee Park, so they're pretty like proper council estates. So I suppose the people that I was going to see with my mum and dad were just living the same sort of life. So it's just normal, so I'm not one of these, so I had my problems with addiction and crime and all that type of stuff. But a lot of people have got the story of coming from a broken home, Terry. But to be quite honest, there was nothing but love in my house. Even though it was the way it was with crime and all the rest of it, I knew 100% that I was loved. I knew that my mum would go out there and fight 20 men for me if my dad wasn't there, My dad's told me stories. I used to say to my old man, he'd say, Dad, I says, like when you're having all these fights on the piers and that in Portsmouth with all the sailors and with all the bikers and all that type of stuff. I say, where was Mum at home? He's like, what's she, son? He says, I've seen your mum take someone out of a crash helmet and blood come out of every single hole in his body, in his head, his nose, his ears and all that shit. So I'm like, because my dad's like circus stock, so he's a great storyteller, but the stories are true. That's a good thing about it. So I'm like, Dad says, what did you do then? She says, don't know. We just had to leave him. Off, do you know what I mean? Well, Mum's like, you got to be in at 10 o'clock. I said, I'll be in at 9:45, Mum. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, they are great. They don't talk to me now, but that's for my own badness, But they are. There's no getting away from it. They are absolutely amazing people. Brilliant. And they've been together since. So Mum and Dad met in children's homes when they were 9 and 10, Terry.
Right.
And they sort of like ran away together and all that type of stuff. And now they're still together now. I'm 45. They got married when I was 2. So they've been together ever since. It's literally a love story.
I mean, that's amazing.
It is,
because especially today, because I've been with my wife for 25 years, but it's interesting when you meet other people, you hear about other relationships that have lasted the test of time. Because when you speak to a lot of the sort of like millennials and people that are in their sort of 20s and 30s, they all sort of go, the Gen Zs, they're all like, oh, how do you find love? It's sort of all alien to them, but it is a difficult thing for people to find, and I know you found it as well.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
We've obviously been blessed.
Yeah, we have.
With
I think what it is like from like my mum and dad's era. So I'm thankful that they passed it down to me, because I always wanted what my mum and dad had got. Like even though the family got up to whatever they got up to and all that, I've never heard my mum and dad have a crossword between them. So if they did have it, it didn't have it in front of the kids.
Yeah.
I always knew that, I used to speak to my old man and all the rest of it. And I just know he loves my mum to bits, you know what I mean? And I know my mum loves my dad to bits. But I think what it is with like today's, my own personal opinion is, when you're in a relationship or a marriage these days, the first bit of hardship that comes to the door, they're like, "Fuck me, I can't do this." Whereas my mum and dad, because of the background that they're from, and they were literally born as fighters, and they knew just to battle it between the two of them, and they knew literally that they're stronger together. Like my mum and dad are quite poorly at the moment, Terry, and I honestly do believe that when one of them does pass, the other one will pass very soon after, because of the broken heart. Because they just know they're literally each other's breath, each other's beat, and I'm thankful that I grew up in the house that I grew up in, and like the crime and that, it's like, so for instance, I got it's one with my Uncle Bernie. So my Uncle Bernie's a bit of a character. He lives over in Ireland now, and he's a bit eccentric and all that type of stuff. So my dad and my Uncle Bernie don't look alike. My dad's quite small and stocky. My Uncle Bernie's quite stringy with but he's got like hair like Jesus, because obviously he's got the curly hair, my dad's got the straight hair, but they both got the long hair, yeah. So they're in Borstal days. So we go back to Scum days, Everybody knows the film Scum, so them days. My old man's on the left, my Uncle Bernie's on the right, and there's a geezer in the middle, and he's giving my dad some shit. But he's giving my dad some shit, not realising it. His brother's on the other side of him. So they're doing the gardening and all the rest of it. My Uncle Bernie's turned round, hit him with a pitchfork. A pitchfork's gone straight through his head. So he's ended up getting HMP for that, which back in the day was a Majesty's pleasure. Done about 16 years off it, Terry, yeah? Wow. Anyway, whilst he's in, he was a bit like me when I went away this time. Like when I go to jail, I want to get something from it, as well as make some connections. And you got your jail family, but you always want to get a little something from your sentence. So he got educated. I don't know what it was back in the day, but the university type of stuff. Blags his grant when he gets out. Next thing, none of us have seen Uncle Bernie for about 2 years. Next thing, we're at my grandma's house in Portsmouth, high-rise flats, Leamington House, and something comes on the news. Oh, and the hippie communes took over some castle in France somewhere. Took over this castle, blah, blah, and this is what they're doing. And they've gone over to this geezer, like a still of him. He's cooking some beans, his hair's all down. And my dad's like, fucking hell, man, that's our fucking Bernie. So he's got out of jail, thought, this, and just like got whatever. I think you could get some sort of grants or something back in the day, like you do now. Not as much money. And then just off. So then, from there, then, he's quite eccentric, and there's a bit of a story. My dad found a meteorite when he was a kid, and they're meant to be worth some money these days, the bigger the meteorites are. And my dad's like, sure, my Uncle Bernie sold my meteorite. So it was meant to be at my grandma's house. He's ended up with a bloody place over in Ireland somewhere. Right. No gas, no electric, no windows, all the rest of it. Caught pneumonia twice. He's done it all up. And now he's that guy, because he's quite eccentric. So we're originally showman travellers. So we've all got like little things that we're good at. I like words, I do. My dad's like different, and some of them are musicians and like, not at a good level, but they can play various instruments.
Right.
He's that guy. I don't know everybody who know him. You know when you got like an oak tree,
Yeah.
and they come up with a chainsaw, and it goes. Zzz, next thing you got an eagle. So he's like that, and he does all that over there, as well as a gardener, should we say?
Right.
But
what does he grow?
yeah, exactly. No comment. But there's a few stories there that he has got away with it. He lives in like a little village, and my dad's told me some right stories. And he used to say to me, but at the time I was being a bit chaotic. He used to say, "I think you should go over and see your Uncle Bernie." I used to think, "Yeah, I'm coming back, Dad." Do you know what I mean? What happened to Chris? I went over to see Uncle Bernie, and this and that happened. Thought I've caused a bit too much trouble over here. That's what Dad's really saying. Get the fuck out of the way from me. But yeah, he's great. They don't talk to me now, but they are literally, my dad's my best mate, I think. Because what happened is, my dad spent a lot of time in jail as well, Terry. So I've seen a lot of times when I was younger, before my sister come along, the only real time I really get to see my dad was home leaves or home leaves or go to visit him at jails, but all around the country with my mum. She's a war horse. I travelled the whole country with my mum to see my dad. So then when I'd see him, it'd be like on home leave. So he didn't want to come out and be that dad to say, Mum would go, he's been kicked out of another school. He's done this, he's done that. And all the rest of the family say, oh, well, he behaves to me. He's lovely. You know, like I'm an angel and all the rest of it. But I was a bit naughty for my mum.
What did you get? What was the
sort
of stuff you got in trouble? I know you fought at school, but what was?
So really, I've never really liked bullies, Terry.
Right.
So I used to get into a lot of fights, and in Telford, a lot of the schools are quite close together. Right. So on a dinner time, if you've got an hour, you can easily make it to the next school and get back. You can make it to the next school 15 minutes on foot, 15 minutes come back, gives you half an hour to have a scrap with the cock of the school, doesn't it? Right. So then we just used to take a little firm down with us. I'd usually take the 2 years above me. Right, so if I was in the third year, I always wanted to be the cock of the school. So I thought, right, well, I'll bring them with me. They can see what we're getting up to. And then eventually, we basically just had a lot of fights. And there was a few other things. There was a bloody library that got set on fire, but that was a mistake, a genuine accident, you know, right. In the first school.
How did that happen? What happened there?
Right, so my dad I've always been a bit of a rooter, yeah. So like I'd have a little mooch around, see what he's got his little cave-ins and treasure chests and all that. So I found one of his Zippo lighters. You know, all the lads they were going in school and they'd have matches to light their cigarettes. Oh, let's take my dad's Zippo lighter in with me. So I took it in. It actually wasn't my fault. I'm not going to openly grass him up on camera. Right. We was kids. But it was my mate that thingy, but I won't mention his name. But he didn't mention it to the headmaster, so I got kicked out. Oh, right. But so he didn't stand by. But he's a good lad. Right. I had the Zippo lighter. Because I got ADHD, as you know from like meeting me now, I will get up in the morning, I'll be brushing, cooking, thinking about walking my dog, thinking about what I'm doing in the day. It's a superpower basically. Nobody else gets to wake up like that, but you do have your bad days. So, gone in, showing him the lighter, gone, yeah, look, the matches. I says, we've got this lighter. Put it on the side, on the library side. Next thing, my attention's gone elsewhere. There's probably someone talking or something going, yeah, come on, baby, let's go do this, let's go do that. And I've off, gone down the steps, gone out on a little play area thing. Next thing, there's smoke coming from the library. Right. Mr. Tromans, his name was at the time. Anybody from Telford who went to Charlotte School would know him because he was a bit of a fucker, the headmaster. And he's got enough's enough, Chris. He said, you've been going to other schools, fighting, blah, blah, blah. He says, you've set the library on fire now. I said, but it was an accident, Mr. Chalmers, blah, 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 this, that. And that was my first school. And like I was saying to you off camera, that's where the puppy love was. It's now turned into adult love and all that type of stuff. But yeah. And then I went to, I think it was about 10 different secondary schools. But do you know what, Terry? The way I look at it is like, I made some great friends at them schools, you know, because I didn't like bullies. So I'll give you one scenario. I was in court once. I stood there, we've got the wigs on and all the rest of it, so I'm in Crown Court. And I've got the prosecution and I've got my defence. The defence are putting up a fight and all the rest of it, like they usually do. I'm thinking I'm going to get away with it. Next thing, one of the prosecution barristers have come up to me and gone, Chris, I don't think you remember me. She says, I'm Alison. He says we was at junior school together. No, junior school. He says, yeah. And I do remember her. Her mum used to be that lady. they didn't believe in putting cotton buds in ears. Right. So she used to have a lot of wax in her ears, Terry. Right. So then the kids used to try pick on her because of this.
Right.
So then I duffed up a few kids because we was kids. So I duffed them up a little bit. And she said, I always remember when you protected me at school. She said, I just wanted to say thanks for that. I still ended up getting fucking found guilty, like. But
you like cheers?
Yeah, cheers. Yeah. You didn't remember that bloody much. Yeah, well, bloody looked after you, you know what I want. But yeah, just little things like that. And for instance, when I've done a few podcasts now, and there's been some really nice messages, as well as the trolls. We all get the trolls, you know what I mean? But they're venting, let them get it off their chest.
The best ones are, who is this geezer?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Or, he ain't done nothing. Or he's a grass. Yeah, I mean, that's the best one, isn't it?
There's this mark on my face. I've had grass, I've had this, I've had that. I said, it's not too bad if you mooch around Glasgow because you can blend in a little bit. Everyone's got on them. But I just let them vent. I just say, just watch the rest of the stories, you know.
Well, do you know what? The haters also help, right? In their weird sort of way. But you know, I've always sort of try to understand why they do it, and I think it's a low esteem, sad. People that have nothing on, they're not doing anything in their lives, feel the need to try and bring down people that are.
Yeah, they do.
And it doesn't make any sense. It's like if you spent more time focused on yourself, you might actually achieve something rather than just sitting there like a fucking div going exactly. all day long. Do you know what I mean?
Got nothing else
and it's like I'm sure people do it as a hobby, you know. They bought this.
Oh yeah, they do definitely. Definitely.
Now, what do you do? I'm a troll.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Professional troll.
but they don't earn anything from it. But this new online safety act that's coming now.
Okay, for the kids. And
yeah, but it's online and it's basically starting to mean that people have to start, if they want to watch certain things and do certain things, they have to identify themselves. So they have to put in their passport, they have to put in their driving license, they have to put in their name and address. So, you know, I've always said from day one, all these mugs that set up these troll accounts or set up these fake pages and you know, try and hide behind it, if they had to upload their personal details before they could access it,
they would not do it.
Right, people wouldn't do it. And also, it would mean that the social media platforms would just be able to go, like, here's their details. Yeah. And then you know who it is and you can deal with them. Do you know what I mean? When I say deal with them, I don't mean deal with them physically. I mean deal with them legally. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or send Chris round.
Well, yeah. Well, so I'm quite blessed. Like, I've got a handful of friends that I've had for 30 years. And I've got one of my friends, Ian Butler. He's a fucking great guy. He's been through me. When I've been proper down on my ass, he's been there. When I've been there and I've been doing bits and bobs, he's been there. Been there right through from the age of 11. So then I was getting some geezer who was trying to me. He kept saying, this geezer's pissing me off, Chris. I says, don't worry about it. I says, it's a troll. I says, we're not even going to get to see him. I says, if anything, it's good that they're trolling on this because then at the end of the day, then you get people come back. I said, no, actually, maybe you need to look into it a bit more. You need to have a look at the other stories. So it gives them, you know, creates a bit of interest. So the next thing, I'm at one of our safe spaces. We talk about that after, if that's right with you, with Breath of Life. Yeah, of course. And he's brought out this bit of paper. So this geezer was basically trolling me about my addiction, trolling me about people can't change and all that type of stuff. Once an addict, and I was like, and all that, yeah, which I've had fucking loads of, and it just bounces off of me now. He's got out this bit of paper, and this geezer's literally just everything he's been trolling me about. He's done just the same, on the same level, if not a little bit lower, a little bit more sideways and all that type of stuff. So then, just goes to show, like you said, some of these people that are trolling, they're trolling because they can't own their shit. Right. Yeah, they're trolling you because they're not in that position, you know, already at that time in their life to be able to own the bullshit that they've done, you know. So they don't want to go through that unpeaceful process of finding peace. So instead of going through the unpeaceful process, they want to bring unpeaceful shit to other people's table. Right. So I was like, what I do is, if you come with doubt now, I'll suck it up. I'll go, nice one for that bit of doubt. Can take that away and I'll come back in a week and bring a bag of faith back and a bag of belief. So yeah, do you know what I mean? Bring the doubt on, you know what I mean?
Or just bring your gloves.
Yeah.
Let's stand in the room and we can see how big you are.
If we could get away with that, it'd be all right, wouldn't it? One thing I have learned through life is that I'm pretty fucking resilient, and I am. There's been a few attempts, and like I can say I'm pretty hard fucker to kill. Do you know what I mean? I do know that, Terry. I've been in certain situations, and
I mean, when you move up to Telford, obviously it must have been a bit odd because you've gone from being sort of down south to then going up north, and was there a reason why you moved, or was it just because?
Well, my mum said there was an option we either went Blackpool or went Telford, but then I have sometimes the conversation that I have with my mum differs to the conversations that I have with my dad, because like I said, my dad was my best mate because he didn't want to be that dad that's going to be fucking telling him, all right, son, yeah, he had another fight at school on his own leaves. So we got a best mate sort of relationship, which, well, we did have until I fucked it up, which it's one of those. It's not one of those. It's my biggest fucking regret, but, and it kills me. But, so he's got a few brothers and they were up to a few bits and bobs, and he basically we couldn't do calling Pompey without the police breathing down their necks. Right. So when we moved away from Pompey, I think it was a 5 or a 6 he got. So then he was away for a lot of the time when I first landed.
What did he get that? What was that for?
So that would have been for some sort, at the time, going into mansions and getting the safes, the gold, all the bits and bobs. And
so he was
doing that.
I was going to actually ask you, the sort of stuff your dad did, was it like heists and
that
robberies?
Type of stuff, yeah.
Right.
And then later on, after he stayed out of jail for ages, to be fair, then there was an armed hijacking and kidnapping. So that was basically the lorries. They got 99 years between 9 of them. I won't mention none of the names, but obviously I can mention Dad as being Dad. But
what was his name, your dad?
Steve Booth. Everyone calls him Geezer. Yeah,
I love that Geezer.
Everyone calls him Geezer. Everybody knows, and if he sees you, he's going to call you Chief or Captain or something like that. He never get called by your first name.
Oh, I love that.
Everybody knows him as Geezer on the manor. And I swear to God, he is, because of the background that he's from, Terry.
Right.
Because he's come from them children's homes,
right.
He's literally, he's not just my dad, he's a dad to, like I said, I've got a handful of friends. Right. And he has been, in one way or another, he has been in their lives and been a fucking a pillar for them to lean on. And when they've been in certain situations, he's been there for them. When I mean, for instance, because they're from kids' homes and because of the life that they led, so they don't want other people. Way back, we're going back a few years now, I'm 45, but I can remember when I was 15, 16, Christmas time would come, Terry, and my dad had an old Sherpa van, and he'd have I'm going to say, 30, 40 bin bags of toys in there, right. And he'd go around just dropping the toys off to the bits and bobs of families that haven't, that they know, not just random, but people that they know that might be on the breadline. Here's a bag of toys, here's a bag of toys. With my friends, a couple of my friends were like, a few of us have had addiction issues and stuff like that because of the money that came in. It wasn't just money in the good life. There was shit stuff, and that shit stuff was addiction. He's helped them through their addictions, Don't mean helping them by giving them money. No. I mean, spoken to their lives and said, look, you need to sort your shit out. You're better than this, blah, blah, blah. So he's been a best mate to a lot of my things. So the armed hijacking and kidnapping, because we're going on an ADHD moment here. Right. So basically that was...
How old was you at the time?
I'm 45 now. I'm going to say I would have been about 20, 25, 26, but I was living quite a chaotic life then when I was out. Because I did say to him, I said, Dad, bring me in on these fucking jobs, man. He says, I want to be a part of this. And he's like, I ain't fucking putting no fucking strap in your hand. He says, you'll fucking do this and you'll do that. I says, I won't, man. He says, you're too hot-headed, Chris. Look what you're rolling around doing. At the time then, I got to the point in my addiction where...
So what? How did that start then, Chris? Because you was obviously fighting.
Yeah.
But was you selling drugs or was you?
Well, it started with basically when we was kids, Terry. We was the New Jack City era. We was the Juice era. Watching all those films. So the first crime that I got locked up for when I was 15, that was we tried to turn over our local post office, but we didn't just do it like thingy. We went in on it for 15-year-olds, all had our proper blue suits on. We all had the same fucking shoes on, so then the footprints would all be
like
same
the Reservoir Dogs.
It was a good move, man. But then I told my dad about it, because obviously, like I said, crime was accepted. I said, Dad, man, I'm going to make a move. 15 years old, so I'll have my car by the time I'm 17. Right. No problem, all that type of stuff. Told him what it was. He says, He said, well, I can't do the accent because I've lost my accent, but he's still a bit that pumpy, my dad. So he's like, there's a fucking more than one fucking safe in there, son. I said, oh, don't worry, Dad. I know what we're doing, man. Blah, 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 this, that. So basically, we've gone in all suited up and all the rest of it. We've not took no firearms because that wasn't what it was about. All you got to do is you just got to make a quick bit of chaos first thing. So that's literally you just, whatever's in front of you and it just happened to be a till, that's go straight in half with a pickaxe handle. There's the chaos created. And then it's literally keep the situation calm. Listen, there's an easy way and an hard way. You do what you do. We're here to do what we do. All that type of stuff. This is at 15, we knew this. Pulled this. We went in at, say, 10 to 8. The place closes at 8. Pulled the shutters on the doors more or less down because every time we used to walk past, just before shutting it, be like, and people think the shop's closed. The shop's got a post office in there. Goes in there, does what we're doing. Goes to the one safe. With some of my best mates. It was a good job, yeah. Well, not a good job, but just the buzz is just a different level. The buzz, I just kept chasing after that. But then gets to the back safe, putting it all in. I can see these cloth bags going in. I'm thinking, yeah, buzzing. And then there was, I didn't get, so I won't mention that part, but the cloth bags are going in. There's a few situations that was going on. Certain people were doing certain things, just us being dickheads, yeah. So we've done all that, managed to get gone. Around Telford, there was a lot they filled them all in now, but there's a lot of underpasses.
Right.
So under my one pal's overalls, he's got cycling shorts on, cycling top, all that type of stuff. So when he gets stripped down, we've got a racer stashed under one of the underpasses. So then he can jump on a racer because in Telford, a lot of people go running on bikes and all that type of stuff in the area where we was, which is Welling. Anybody who knows Telford knows what it's like. Everyone's on a fucking bike, everyone's running around. So then he can jump on his bike, got all the kit on his back, everything he needs, and then just goes, he's a cyclist, yeah? So he gets under the underpass. The joy of it was, when we were under the underpass, the army sponsor going above us, and I can just remember there thinking, yes, man, we've fucking done it, do you know what I mean? Looking at all my mates, we're all getting changed, all got the glint in their eye, and we're still friends now, which is a beautiful thing.
What a fucking job, though, to plan all this detail for 15-year-olds.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. From a young age, to be fair, it wasn't just me from a criminal family. My other friend, I won't mention his name, but his dad was a geezer. He's a Cockney geezer to the point where he was a cash man. Right. He would go, he'd have cash in transit, he'd do all that type of stuff. To the point where I went somewhere with him when it went to a funeral, to his brother's funeral, when he was well into his getting to be an elderly fella, sat in the boozer with all his mates, and he's gone, oh, I'm just going to go to the post office and get some money. And they were like, whoa, fucking hell, we'll give you some money. You don't need to do that no more. Blah. He's only going to the post office to draw some money out on an innocent level. And all his old boy mates go, no, mate, you don't need to do that no more. Blah. Thinking he's still up to it now. So then we was all from that. So his family come down from London. Then my other pal, his family moved down from Telford, from Tottenham as well. So we was all sort of like, in a way, all criminally sort of
birds of a feather.
All sort of like educated. And then we all come together and we just had this, we just wanted to be the boys.
And how much did you count the dough out? How much did you get?
Oh my God, this is the thing, right? So then there was dough there, but then the next day we're going through the cloth bags, and don't forget, I had to tell my dad, he was right in the end. So then we're emptying it all. There's money. We only got like 3.5 grand, but there's nothing there. But we emptied the last cloth bag, and then all the keys come out from the main post office safe. Wow. So like my dad was saying, there was 2 safes in there. Right. But then because we were eager and we were kids and we were seeing the cloth bags go in, thinking, we've hit the jackpot. I went home that night, I told the kids' mum, I spent all the money, it's all right, I've got some money in the morning, blah, blah. Then you divide up this pittance between a few of us. Right. You don't end up with that much each. But there was another safe in there. And all the main money would have been in that safe, and we would have spent a bit more time and actually, been a bit more thingy about it. We could have probably, we would have had the money out of that safe as well.
And how long did it take them to actually catch you? Was it pretty quick?
Well, no, not really. Because at first, what they put in the papers was, gang of kids, blah, blah, blah. Then they've obviously done their own work. They've seen the CCTV. They've seen the way that we've gone in. They've seen we've managed to find blind spots. They've seen that we're all in the insane clubber. Right. They've seen that the situation's been handled in a sense where there was a quick bit of chaos, and then it just from chaos to you know, because that's how you control the situation. A little bit of chaos, then all that type of thing. And then it was thought to be a professional gang, blah, 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 all that type of stuff. And then from that, then there was a 2-year sentence. Then you end up in jail, 15 years old in the school uniform, you know. So, and that was my first sentence, which was a pretty shit one, to be honest. So,
I mean, at that point when you was actually in the jail, Chris, did you sort of think, you know, I didn't realise that this was going to happen? Because when you commit crimes, no one ever thinks they're going to get caught, right? Or go to jail. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. Yeah. But did that put you off it, or did you just think, it?
Well, to be fair with me, I had the judges give me every chance, because before that happened, when I was 13, 14, there was the ABHs, the common assaults. There wasn't a GBH till later on in life, but it's always scrapping of some sort. So I had all the bound overs, suspended sentences, all this. Oh, this is your last chance. About 10 times, this is your last chance. So I thought they're not going to send me to jail. When I went to court this time, at the time I was pretty heavily into my boxing, and I do believe that I could have gone somewhere, because the lad who I used to spar with, he got to quite a good level of boxing, and we was punch for punch. So I had a report off my boxing trainer. My old dear said, just go in your school uniform, because the judge ain't going to send you down. And then he's like, oh, you've carried on your behaviour, blah, 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 and all that type of stuff. Give me 2 years. Next thing, I'm getting my tie took off me, because they think you're going to hang yourself on the sweatbox because it's your first time and all that type of stuff. And then I've landed in an inner city jail, which is called Brinsford, which is full of Birmingham lads, Wolverhampton lads, anybody that knows. So Telford's a fucking minority. I was a bit of a, you know, one of the lads when I was out on the street from where I'm from.
Right.
I've landed in my school uniform. They're all coming in their fucking Nike trackies, their nice trainers and all the rest of it. And I'm there a little, because I was boxing at the time, a 9 stone 10 welterweight kid. Like, I'm 45 now, Terry. Right. When I was fucking 50, when I was that age, I looked about 12. Yeah. I was like a boiled egg. I never had a hair on my body. Do you know what I mean? And then I've got geezers coming in, meant to be the same age as me, that are built like fucking Thor, with beards like this, and they're scary geezers. And then from that first, there was an incident that happened in the holding room where someone tried to bully me, and all I had in my dad was my dad in my ear going, listen, son, you either swim or you sink. You're either going to go there. He said, son, you're going back to jail. He said, oh, I'm not coming back, Dad. I'm not coming back. He said, son, you are going to do a lot of jail. I was like, fuck off, Dad. You don't know. Just like I was like, fuck off, Dad. There's not more than one safe, but he knew. So he said, if you let these boys bully you now, he says that when you come back, they're going to remember that they bullied you, and then they're going to try to do it again and again and again. So then I pretty much nipped the bullying in the bud straight away. I had to take a few kick-ins, but I got them back in the end. Right. Over a period of, like, say, if I got a kick-in in 97, probably took me till 2005, 2006 to get every single one of them back. But by the time I got them back, the thing is with me in the system, Terry, yeah, I'm just Chris Booth from Telford. I haven't got no fucking gangbanger name. Do you know what I mean? I'm just Chris Booth. I did end up being called Smooth Booth in the end, because I used to have a bit of a laugh with the female staff and all that. And I'd always try to get myself out of nickings and all that type of some sort of fucking jargon, because I love words. But I've never had, like, I won't mention like the names, but they got proper gangbanger names, what they keep for their whole lives. So when they kick the shit out of me, these 6 or 7 lads, and they're called, I don't know, I won't say the names, but they got certain names, yeah?
He's called Digger. He's called Killer.
Yeah, Digger, Killer, Honey Monster, all these type of things, yeah? But they keep that name for their whole sentence. So they're not going to remember kicking the shit out of Christopher Booth from Telford, but I'm going to remember their names, because I'm the one who got shit kicked out of me. Right. And then the joy of it is, my first sentence, it wasn't majorly hard, but I didn't want to be there. And that's where I had to, that was my foundations. That's where I had to create a few fucking safe spaces for myself and thingy. So then I got that kicking down, and they used to come into jail. But by this time, I was found out in jail as well that if you had like something inside you and you wanted to release it, the best way to do was just to find the biggest fucking bully in there that's causing shit and just take it out on him. Because 9 times out of 10, before all the vaping come in, screws will come out up to your door later on and say, fucking hell, BV, you needed that. There's a quarter of burn. You think, fucking hell, this is all right. I remember saying to my dad, I got a sentence once for Section 18. And then an incident happened in jail where it's a Section 18. They give me 42 days for it. I was like, fuck's sake, Dad. I says, I just got nearly 4 years for this outside. I says, you come in here and could do Section 18. They give you 42 days. I said, well, he's like, he's going to be in there for fucking ever, Gail. He's fucking this and that. So with these bullies, what happened is they come back in, and by then, I made a lot of friends, and I'd had a few fights, but I made friends because I was meant to be the minority, but then I didn't like bullies, and like as much bullies always got some sort of insecurities themselves. So then when they came back in, they come in with their name, and I'd have, like, for instance, the last one I got was down the gym, and I shared this story that about getting the shit kicked out of me to the gym staff, and I told him, like, I can remember their names, blah blah blah, and then one of them's come in, and I've gone, fucking hell, I've gone, Mr. Dobson. I says, that's one of them lads. And he was a taffy. He says, oh, is it Boovy Boyo? He says, I can send him in for some 2 stripes. And 2 stripes are like shitty trainers you got to wear in the gym if you can't wear your normal trainers. These guys have got brand new trainers on. They can wear them in the gym. They've got no black bottoms on, so they're not going to scuff the gym and all that. They're allowed to wear them. So then Dobbo would send them in, and he'd come in. I'd give him the first 2 stripe, and I'd just give him that one. And I'd give him the second one, and I'd hold that one a little bit. And then what they do, there'd be a little tug of war. And then there's quite a story behind it, I think. But the geezer who was gym orderly with me was the geezer that I actually socked up with a tap in a sock. Right. But then we ended up down the gym together, and we ended up being fucking best mates. He's a great guy, big traveller fella. But he's a absolutely great guy. At the time, we didn't think he was great. We had fucking war on the ones. He had fucking pool balls. I had a tap in a sock, and it just got a bit messy. But so then he knows as well about the bully situation, because by now I shared a few stories with him and let him know a few things. So Tug of War is bigger than me, so he could pull him over the counter. Do you know what I mean? Pulled him over the counter, and there's nothing better, Terry, when you sat down and like, you know, blood, what's all this about? Blah, blah, blah. I said, don't remember, do you, bro? I said, I was a skinny 15-year-old boy in Brinsford holding room. I says, and I got the better of one of your mates. And then next thing, I was this, I was that. I says, and 6 of you landed on me. I says, I'm that guy, man. I says, I'm that guy, Chris Booth. I says, shit's changed, man. And you can just see it go click. And then every time you do something like that, it releases you from that memory, because you feel like you've been done over. Do you know what I mean? Because I couldn't defend myself. I was literally in a holding room. You see a big hand go over the camera, so you know what's going to happen. Right. You try to chuck a few digs in, and then you assume the position. That's the truth of it. Right. You're on the floor getting the shit kicked out of you. Assume the position, take what you can take, and just hold it. Just remember it.
And for you, Chris, like you said, like you had like fucking taps in socks and all sorts of shit. What was the worst thing you did in jail, like against someone who you fell out with?
Right. So where I'm going to put it out there, I had a lot of fights with my hands as well. Yeah. Right. But sometimes there's some people in jail where you just think, he ain't going to feel my left and my right. He just ain't going to feel it. So any lads that have been in the system with me, that have been in Stokeheath, will know about this story. So there was a geezer in there, 6 foot. I'm going to say 6'6", but he might have been half an inch bigger. Yeah,
right.
He was a fucking man mountain terrier, 20 odd stone. I think he's touching 22 stone. He was a fucking massive geezer. Do you know what his name was? Tiny. That's what they called him, fucking Tiny. Right, so
Tiny Tim.
Yeah, he's fucking huge, man. It's just like, it just don't make sense, but it's just like. So anyway, I had this. There's a bit of a story behind it. There's a story behind everything, but it's not EastEnders of Coronation Street. This is real life. Yeah, this is real life shit. Yeah. So I had a little mate from Cambridge. So like, as much as I surround myself in jail with the boys and all that type of stuff, the lads that I've grown up with, it's always good to have a few jesters in your camp. Right. Everyone needs a bit of fucking laughter in jail. Right. And I had this little mate. He wasn't even fucking 5 foot tall, because we were in YPs at the time. Right. He was fucking hilarious, Terry. Yeah, and he's just a joy to have around. You say, "Come over, man. Come sit down, man. Get some jokes and blah, blah, blah." But not like in a thingy. He was one of us, you know. Right. This geezer absolutely loved ringing his mum. That was what he looked forward to every week. At the time, it was phone cards. There was an incident with a phone card as well, where someone lost the tip of their nose, because you can bend them, and it makes like an arch, and then basically it's a weapon. So then you're having an argument, you can just fucking whack him and take the tip. Well, it took the tip of his nose off, but that's a different story. But this one was, this geezer, basically, this tiny, had lent him some phone cards and some tobacco, and this young lad, this Cambridge lad, couldn't afford to pay him back, so he got double bubbled, and then he got treble bubbled, and then before you know it, he owed him all his canteen. And I could hear him like in the conversations and talking out with this. Yeah, I get to ring my mum on Thursday, canteen day, blah blah blah. He's like, I've got one phone card. Tiny says I can have one phone card. I can't wait to ring my mum. So the next thing, go canteen day. Everyone's got their canteen, so they open the doors, put the canteen behind your door, and then you come out afterwards. He's come out. As he's come out, just Tiny comes straight in there. Ripped his whole canteen bag, walked off, says, and you fucking owe me next week's and the weeks after. Next thing, I've walked past this lad's pad who I get on with, and he was my jail family time, man. He's a fucking nice lad, man. And he was funny, man. I walked past and I'm looking at him crying on his bed because he can't fucking ring his mum, man. And I just looked, but I just knew this geezer was fucking massive. And I thought, I hate to use the word, but he was a man.
That's my favourite word.
Yeah. My mum would be if she was talking to you, she'd be slapping me now. But he was yeah. And I thought, and it done my head in because I wanted to do something to him, but he was fucking so big, Terry, man. So anyway, next day, that's happened. So I'm already seething on that. When I sat down on the table, I'm in contact with some of them on my socials now, and I do quite a lot in the community. Right. Sat on the table. I'm from Telford. I've got a table full of Brummy lads, and this geezer's from Brum. I'm going, how come you just let him get away? We're like, oh man, it's Tiny, man. You can't really get involved, man. He's a nightmare, but he's fucking out with bunny. People who try to hang themselves, risk everything because of this geezer. Yeah? So anyway, at the time on canteen, say if you wanted to order a shower gel, Terry, everybody gets the same shower gel. So for instance, at the time it was Lynx Africa. Everyone had the Lynx Africa, yeah. So I'm in the showers, but I dropped mine on the floor in my cell. So it had like a little bit of the lid missing. So everyone's got the same one. I don't know which one's mine because I just dropped it in my cell. So I've gone in the shower. Next thing, Tiny's in there, a couple of his henchmen. They're not as big as him, but they're fucking boys. Turn around, got fucking naked. It's always horrible fighting in the shower when you're naked. One, because as soon as the adrenaline goes, you end up with 2 belly buttons. You've got the smallest dick in the fucking world. And then the next thing, you're rolling around on the floor fucking fighting, and it's not nice because it's slippy and all the rest of it. So anyway, turn around, got thing, look round, shower gel's not there. I've looked over, I can see Tiny, he's got a shower gel in his hand. I says, yeah, Tiny, I says, I think you got to try to make a bit of it. I don't want to fall out in the shower, there's 3 of them, one of me. I says, I think you got my shower gel, mate. He says, how do you know it's fucking yours? We all get the same one on canteen. Fucking Telford, no bed, blah, 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 this, that. I says, nah, I says, if you have a look, mate, I says, mine's got a crack on the lid. I says, just chuck it back, man, stop fucking about, do you know what I mean? Tried to give it all that. He's gone, oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, sorry, bro. You know, being sarcastic. Gone to chuck it, but kept hold of it. And then he's turned around to his mate here. He's gone, shh. Turned around to his mate here. Shh. And then fucking chucked me the empty thing. Oh, for fuck's sake. Got dressed. Took my empty shower gel to the pad with me. Sat in my cell. And at the time, because I've told you, I'm ADHD, but I'm also OCD. Yeah. Right. So I've got a pyramid of pot noodles. So it goes 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's like an ornament. It's like a fucking Ming vase I've got in the corner of my cell. But it's like,
don't touch my fucking pot noodles.
Don't touch my fucking pot noodle. Chicken and mushroom, yeah? We all like a chicken and mushroom pot noodle. So at first, I fills up my you get like little blue cups in jail. You know a few people that are away. Puts this water in there. Chucks it up the wall. I'm thinking, there's not enough water there. It's too fucking big. Do you know what I mean? I says, I need more. I need a bigger container to put this in. So I can remember taking my pot noodle off where it's a 1 on top, taking it off, and then I didn't like how it looked because there wasn't a pot noodle there. So what I had to do is I had to find one that was still full, wasn't broke. I lifted the pot noodle. So I had the noodles there, but without a fucking thing around it. Put some water in that, chucked it up my wall, and thought, that's enough fucking water. So then I put about, I don't know, a quarter of a bag of sugar in there. And at the time, you get these little tiny jams. They're not like full of like how much sugar. They're just horrible. They all taste like shit. About 20 of them in there. But by this time, I'd already done a few things. I'd done the tap in the sock, and there was another geezer down the mannies. There was a thing with a phone card, the tip of the nose, all that type of stuff. So the lads pretty much knew
I mean, it's creative what you come up with.
Yeah, well, you got to be, haven't you, man? The phone card one was Boster. You know, well, I say Boster now, I'm not that person no more. Try not to be. But that was just over a phone call, and the geezer was a buddy as well. So I just thought, if I bent the phone card in my hand like that, try it with a credit card when you get out of here. Bend it and just got it out softly on tip of your nose. And I didn't mean to, I meant to just whack him with it on the bridge of his nose. Because he haven't got much hair, just took the little tip of his nose off. So anyway, so because people knew that I was like that and did have a bit of a scrap with my hands as well, I did lose some fights. I'm not going to say I won them all, Terry. I lost some, but they were good fights, you know, fights that people have remembered. So then, gone down for my dinner. So then all the servery, they all fucking pretty much know what's going on. So they've got their fucking servery jackets up like this. They've got their hairnets pulled down. They got their hats all the way down. Who I be? So I'm all right, you all right? He said, yeah. So it goes there, fills up out the tea and fills my thing up, pot noodle cup. And they clocked to what I was getting up to something, because I usually come down and play and say, any chance of some more chips, please, lads? You know what I mean? I'm not one of them, stick more chips on the table. Come on, lads, I need some more chips than that, you know, because it got to that point where I'd done a bit of jail work, I could have a bit of banter, but I knew what I was on about. So then filled it up, and I just got my pudding, so they were a bit suspicious. This tiny was that big. You got tables, and the only way I can explain, they're up like this, but then they like fold down like that. And then you got all the little blue chairs on them, so they can put them out of the way. But then when dinner time comes, you unfold them, and everybody sits together to have their food. Because he's so big, he can't sit on the middle chair. He's got to sit on the end chair. He'll be fucking elbowing every fucker because he's so big. So he sat on the end. I've walked past him. When I was sat on the table before I'd done it, the lad's going, baby, don't do it. I said, don't fucking do it. I said, you lot ain't doing nothing about
Listen,
it.
that emptied my fucking lids out for the shower gel.
Yeah. It wasn't so much the shower gel. That was just like
another liberty, yeah.
The first thing was the lads, you know. My mate from Cambridge, I seen him on the fucking bed crying because he can't ring his mum because this fucking basically he's just double bubbled him, triple bubbled him, and just ain't even giving him a £2 phone card to ring his mum. He's just got no leeway. He's just an outright fucking arsehole, and no one was doing nothing about it, Terry, yeah? You know, he's an arsehole, man. So then I've gone past him, I've gone, Tiny, I've got something for you. And him being him, best be phone cards or burn dickhead. So I've gone, no, here you are. Whap. Well, this is the first time that I've done it then. I didn't realise that there's literally probably just over a second where they don't scream, Terry, because they're in shock. I didn't know that. So now I've whapped this in his face, and then it's gone through my head all in this space second. Me, was that water hot? Oh my God.
Is he hot enough?
Yeah, is he indestructible? This, that. So then all I thought to do is, because he sat down, get as close as I can, he's giving three good uppercuts. Give him 3 good uppercuts. He's then on the floor. So then from him being on the floor, then what I've done, I just thought, I just need to just keep following him, because if he gets up now, he's a fucking beast. So he ended up with his face, 27 lines in his head off the shoes. At the time, I was on GOAD, so it only let me out the cell every now and then. So it's called good order and discipline. So they take your trainers off you, give you like pimp shoes, they're called. So they've got hard bottoms on them, and they're like shitty colours, browns and reds and all that type of stuff. But the staff haven't seen me chuck that water. So what happens is, when they restrain someone that big in there, they restrain the head first, then they go for the arms. So say if he's on the floor, like, screaming. So then they get the legs, either side of his thighs on his head, restrain his head. Then they grab his arms, then they grab his legs, and then they try to flip him over and then cuff him up or whatever, because they think he's kicking off. They've not seen me chuck that water, because the lads have got rid of the pot noodle cup for me. So then when the staff members come over and got his head in between their legs, because his face is pretty soft and like gooey, because it's obviously bad hot water on it, when she's pulled her leg away, you can just literally see the full print of his face on the inside of her leg, because she just took the skin straight off.
Someone said it's like melting their face.
Yeah, it does. The only way I can... It's not as bad as ghee. I've never seen ghee, but I've heard some stories from the lads in dispersals, Terry, and hot fat is meant to be the worst one. Then, so what she's got is the full print on the inside of her leg. He's then obviously gone down to, when I've gone down to the block, they've asked me to strip off to see whether I've got any burn marks on me. When they've done that, I've not realised what they're doing then is gathering information to be able to tell him, because they're sick of what I'm doing in the system. So then what they've said is, he's got blah, blah, blah tattoo on this chest, blah, blah, blah tattoo on this chest, because I had a lot of tattoos from the age of 15. I was in school with most of my tattoos. Then the nurses then gone back to him. He's then gone, well, I don't really know his name, but I do know I've seen him in the shower before and he's got this and this and this. He's been able to describe me. He's ended up going to court. He grassed me up. I ended up going to court. The day that I was meant to get released was the same day as my prison sentence. So I just finished nearly 4 years because I fell out with some geezer on the outside, had a bit of a scrap, and he's basically got his leg snapped on a curb. You know, fucking fell on a curb, jumped up, snapped his legs, blah, 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 tibia, fibia. So I got a 4 for that. And I got a few extra days as well whilst I was away. So then the same day I was meant to get released for that, in between all the other bits and bobs that was happening, that was the same day as my my sentence date. So I got released from Stoke Heath to then go back to Shrewsbury County Court, to then see the same judge that sentenced me for the sentence I was in before, then said I've carried on my violent behaviour whilst in custody, then sent me back to Stoke Heath. So basically I was going, any chance I can have my curtains back, lads? Well, at the time, it was when Rice Krispies, you had the aliens in them. It come as a free gift. And I had the whole collection on top of my TV. No, I got on top of my shelf. This was before the TVs. TVs came in about 2001. So then I had the whole collection on top of one of my shelves. And I can remember saying to him, make sure you send me my fucking aliens back, man. They're my ornaments, you know what I mean? So then gets there. I don't even manage to get on the normal wings, go straight down to the block. Then when I'm down the block, I'm thinking, oh, they can only keep me down here for 28 days and they have to come in and review it. And I just say, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, look, I fucked up. I got an extra sentence. Yeah. And was that other stuff you know? Nothing to do with me. You know, all the other stuff they thought I'd done, but they never fucking proved it. And then I didn't actually manage to get on the main wings. From then I got starred up. I then got sent to my local jail. Local man's jail, which is HMP Shrewsbury. It's not there no more. It's like a fucking ghost haunty place now. Right. Gets there when I'm 20 years old. Yeah, because too much for the young offender system. I just think when you're in there, you can as well well and good having a fight with your fists, but sometimes when you don't use your fists, people expect more violence and more violence and more violence. And I just went a chaotic in there, but luckily for me, I landed in the Dana. So then obviously I've gone from a YP's jail, and I'm thinking, you know, I've just had a fucking shit in the young offenders. Now I'm going to a man's jail. I was thinking it's going to be fucking double bad. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to be the fucking youngest one there. They're going to think this. So I'm straight back when I was 15 again. You know, I'm thinking I'm fucking going to be vulnerable again, even though I've done whatever in the young offender system. I'm thinking bigger man and all that. That's just what goes through your head. When I was 20, I probably looked about 15 anyway, because I'm fucking I've never fucking really been that guy that looks fucking really old. So then gets there, straight away the governor comes to see me in reception. Don't think we're going to accept what you're getting up to in young offenders, blah, blah, blah. We don't have none of that. We'll lock you down straight away, blah, blah. I'm thinking, fucking hell, I just got here and I'm getting talk off the governor, all this type of stuff. Lands on the wing. Next thing, all the older generation now of the manor, you know, Boovy, what you doing here, you little bastard? I'm like, you know, I said, you all right? I said, he says I'm too much, man. They said, so they sent me to see you guys. I said, you know, one of them's gone, boss, you best get him in the cell next to me. I thought, you know, this is all right. I've gone down for my dinner. They're saying, make sure you give him extra potatoes, make sure he gets extra this. Got me an all the gym list. I'm lucky, like, one of the lads, I won't mention his name, but one of the lads that looked after me then, he was in on some drugs charges and all the rest of it, and he was a bit of a boy. Right. And he really looked after me, man. Like, there was him and a couple of the others, like the older generations. When I say older, they probably got like 10 years and that on me. So like when I was 10, they would have been like 15 and 20. So they were the ones you look up to till you get to a certain age. And I got looked after them, but I didn't spend long in there. I was like, before you know it, I was just sent around the system then. That was just for me to touch base, and then they're like, fuck him off, get him out as well.
When did you actually start doing the drugs? Was that in jail or was that when you come out?
No, that was on the outside. Do you know what the mad thing about it is, Terry? Like people will say, because they only ever remember the bad stuff. That's what people do. Yeah, especially if you live their life of addiction. Yeah, so people say, yeah, but Chris, you've been a fucking drug addict most of your life. But when you weigh it up, Terry, since I was 15, I've spent more time in jail than I have. Thanks be for the time I've been out now. You know, it's been the longest ever. But since 1997. I've either done year after year because I've been doing it at half all right sense, not all right sense, but a decent amount of time, or a bit of each year where you've been called back on an husband, or like recalled, or got a little sentence, or you just spent a bit of time on remand, then you get released. Since 1997, all the way up to 2021. So every year, if not year after year. So basically, spent since I was 15, nearly 14 years in jail. But when I'm in jail, I'm not on the drugs. I'm clean. So when you weigh it up, I've spent more time clean than I have on drugs.
Right.
But the madness about it is the chaos and fucking carnage and just the shit that I caused through my addiction. It stayed with people that badly. That then they thought it was longer than what it was.
And what was your sort of drug? Was there a drug of choice, or was it just everything?
It started. I was that guy when they say at school, the teachers come up to you and say, fucking smoking weed, you're gonna end up doing this and that. You look at your mates and you go, yeah, fucking way fucking thinks we're gonna be fucking smoking. You don't know fucking shit, Mr. Bloody History teacher over there in the corner. Right. But the joy of it, not the joy of it, the fucking truth of it is I was that person that started smoking a bit of weed and then led into the trips, and then the trips led into the party scene, the pills and the and all that type of stuff, and then the wasn't enough, Terry. And the truth of it is, I become a serious hardcore smoker, and like to the point where I was spending £3,500 a week on it, Terry. And
I mean, that's mad.
Yeah, and to be able to do that, I was causing a lot of chaos and carnage because I was that person that I'd think, if they're gonna fucking sell it me, and I'm gonna spend whatever, and then I get to the end of the week and I want to tick an 8, tick a quarter, tick whatever I want to tick, and they're gonna fucking turn around and say no after I spent whatever, I'll just turn up. And then that's what happened. There's been various things where this can end up coming from, not from a crack lifestyle, but making a little move and all that type of stuff. And then with that became, I didn't think as much about what I was doing. This is the truth of it, Terry. This is the dark side of it. I become a very selfish person. I didn't give a fuck about anybody else. I was full of false promises. Pulled a lot of moves. I upset a lot of people. But the thing is, when I was upsetting people, it was like, I really didn't give a fuck, Terry. And they knew that if I needed to, then I would go back to jail. If you're going to come and find me for whatever they're doing, you best come fully prepared. It's like, for instance, when this one happened. So that was basically, I've been out of jail. I've been out of jail about 3-4 days. I was on catch up. So I fucking got out of jail. I want to catch up. I want to get some funds together. This time I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to get some money together and I'm going to do the right things with this money, blah, blah, blah. Finds out about some people from a major city that are doing county lines on the manor. Gets the information about where they end up, where the week's takings are. Goes there, tases the first one at the door. He pisses and shits himself because obviously bits and bobs go. He's on the floor. Goes to chase the other one upstairs because I know the money's meant to be upstairs in a duffel bag, like a little Berghousey bag. He's jumped out the kitchen window. Not the kitchen window, the top bathroom window, sorry. As he's got out there, he tried to take the bag with him. The bag won't fit through the window. The bag's fell in the bath, and then the bag's full of cash and drugs. So then I went on a 10-day bender. Then after the 10-day bender, I've then got to come down. I've then gone and asked the same person to give me the information about the job. Do you know anywhere I can weed? Yeah, of course I do, blah, blah, blah. Not knowing that the firm who I moved on have basically done some bad shit to this person and said, look, if Boovy comes around, you need to let us know, otherwise this and that's going to happen. It's going to be 10 times bad what's happened to you. Wow. Rocks up into some, you got the high rises and you got the low rises in between the high rises where they keep the big bins. Walks into basically an ambush. But I pretty much respect him for what they've done now, but that's another story. But walked in, I got a geezer over in the left-hand corner. He's all snooded up, little peaky hat on, all north-faced up, hands in him like this. Looks over in the left. My man's the same, but he's not got his hands inside. He's got his hands down. But then my man over in this corner, he's looking at me, Terry, but he's looking behind me. Right. So he's telling me there's someone behind me. Do you know what I mean? So then as I'm seeing him look at me, I thought, I just knew I had someone behind me. So I've looked as I've gone like that. There's been like a flash. He stood in front of me. I'm definitely not going to do the accent because I'm 100% you know what manner they're off, yeah? But he's basically said, listen, you can come into our Kens, you can take an our graft. You've been striped now, Boovy. We all know who you are. Right. I thought, fucking striped when he hit me because it's so sharp, you don't fucking know.
Right, you thought he just hit you?
I thought he just dicked me, man. And because it was basically, you get the carpet cutters at like a hook shape.
Right.
It's one of them. So then that's why it went a little tiny bit deeper there. You could get the finger through and all that type of stuff. So I thought, fucking hell, striped. So but before he said, I've gone for him. And that's when the surgeon said, that's when that little movement, that's when it would have split it that little bit more because I've moved. I had so many stitches in my face, I think nearly 50 stitches. Gets to the ambulance, manages to get down by some local shops, parks up in the fucking bus stop. I've had to undo my jacket, swab myself up. Ambulance has come. Then because I've been in another violent incident, what's happened is then I've got an husband warning, life's in danger of being bloody this and that. So I'm in and out of the hospital within 6 hours. When obviously the other firm, the police have come to see me at the hospital, all I'm going to say is I've got 3 people there that are pretty much involved with life, so they know we're putting something together. They've come and said, oh, so what have you got to tell us, Boovy? And I just said, just go and catch some business sex cases and get out of the hospital. You know what I mean? I was in that frame of mind. My sister's come in at the worst times when I got my finger through my mouth, and I'm basically saying the whatever, so the people, the area they're from, the thingy, still here, still breathing, you know, because I was on that ego thing and all that type of stuff. They've seen the 3 people that I've got, and then the people that done this, obviously there's no charges. Anybody thing that's ever happened to me, there's never been no charges, Terry, because all I ask is say, listen, the police weren't involved. So if it comes to the point where I have to come for you, I just want the same treatment. Right. So if you're going to get me and I don't go, then it's just the law of the land, innit? So then I got released from the hospital. They got out the police station at the same time. But then I weren't that fucking, bloody do-laddie with the drugs that I knew what the police were up to. Right. What the police wanted is they wanted me and the couple of lads that I had at the time to go make some sort of presence with these geezers that are doing county lines, because then they can go, all right, if they come down to Shrewsbury, a little town, come down to Shrewsbury, do county lines, this is what happens. I knew they wanted me to do their dirty work. Then next thing, I'm going to get, how long for discharge of a firearm, taking the bottom of someone's leg, because you go below the waistline, keep the sentence down.
Is that the advice then?
Well,
below the waistline.
Yeah. Even though you got the femorals on the inside, right. But it's like it's not as bad as up here, is it? Right. So you can cut the sentence down, and still get done for discharge of a firearm and all that type of stuff. But that's it. I just knew, and then I'll be honest with you, Terry. Yeah, what I had to do is not straight afterwards. It took a bit of time, and to be honest, I've always got a smile on my face. So I'm quite like my scar, At first I didn't, but who else gets to wake up in the morning? If you look on my left side, I'm always smiling. Do you know what I mean?
What was it? Al Pacino said in Scarface. He said, "How did you get that?" He said, "Eating pussy."
Yeah, eating pussy. Yeah. I'm pretty good at that as well, by the way. Well, no comment. I've got a lady. So then when it boiled down to it, and I had a bit of time to sit with it in beer. Right. So when I done this, so I'm 45 now. So say this is like 10 years ago, my face. So I think I might be a bit wrong, a couple of years. So I was 35. I went and moved on some lads that were probably 23, 24. Right. Young lads that are doing their thing on the manor, making some money and all that type of stuff. If someone would have done that to me, then I probably would have done the same thing. Or something along that sort of severity, So what I had to sit back and think, well, I would have done the same thing, and really it was my 2-second decision that got me in trouble. Right. And then on the side of 2-second decisions, Terry, when I had the time to think in jail about, so say then 14 years in jail, to the amount of time it took me to make the decisions to get me in jail, 6 minutes. Right. So for 6 minutes of decisions, I got 14 years of jail. Wow. And I was like, when I decided that I wanted to make a change and actually give back instead of take from society and just be the person that basically my mum's always told me that I am a kind, caring person that puts people before myself. But I just used to do that, but in the wrong environment.
Right.
You know?
And how was you at that point when you got that? How old was you then?
35.
And the bit when we was talking about your dad earlier, when he did that big heist and he got 99 years, how old was you when that was happening? Was that before?
I'm going to say early 20s, yeah, early
Wow.
20s. But do you know what? Do you know, I just thought, just talking to you then, the age that my dad done that and then he never went back to jail was probably the same age as what I decided that I had enough. You just let me know that. By just doing that calculations.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, obviously, to tell us a little bit about that, because 99 years for a heist. I mean, that must. What was the actual heist he did?
Right. So basically, they've all done their jail now. So I seen a Vectra go into a garage. The Vectra then come out as a police car. So they got done for armed hijacking and kidnapping and basically posing as police. So they were pulling over the lorries that had certain stuff on them as they were police officers. When they were coming out, the keys was getting whatever put in his face, straps and all that. They get them put in a department, in a compartment, either a boot or something like that, or another vehicle that's there. He gets took off, and then they took off with the lorries. But what it was,
Sounds like fucking Goodfellas.
Yeah. So then what it was, so
was that inspired by Goodfellas?
I don't know.
Right.
I haven't spoken to the rest of the codees, but I think my dad got an 8. The main codee, because they had a bit of footage of some sort of kidnapping thing where they had to get the information. So they had he kept a video of it, and they found the video. I think he got an 18. 2 of my cousins, I think one of them was only young, so he got a 6. Another one got a fucking 5, and then I think there's another couple of sentences that were touching double figures. So there was 9 of them. They called him the Telford 9. And then they put it over, and then they jacked the lorry. The one they got done for was £975,000 worth of computers. I can remember being myself in jail and it coming on the TV when I was in the Dana. I did actually ask my dad to take me on that job, but he wouldn't take me on there. He just says it's too hot-headed. But when I did get out and I went and visited him, I was like, I'm glad to never come on that job, Dad. He's like, yeah, you get little bastard. He never put his hands on me. That's the only thing he didn't do was strangle me. But yeah, it's like, and Dad's always been a bit of a boy, He's always found one way to make some money, one way or another.
But that was the thing he got caught for. But I take it he was doing a few of them. That was
the one they got caught for, and so then there would have been a few before that. Right. Terry, yeah, that was what they were doing. Right, It's this how it's just clever, ain't it? Let's be honest about it. To be able to put the car in there, it come out as a fucking police car, all lights and everything. They got full fucking police uniforms on. To then get told, because in shipping containers, there's the containers that everybody knows about. But then you've got the containers that nobody's meant to know about. Right. So
and that's for the high value goods.
Say some of them, yeah. Some of them might be just full of fucking whatevers. But so say if you move on the containers that aren't meant to be there, there's no traces there because they're not meant to be there. Right. But then what happens if the firm who you're moving on finds out that you're moving on them and then stitch you up to take you off the scene? Right. So you get what I'm saying? So then that's what happened. They had the information of the containers that were meant to be on there that weren't meant to be on there that nobody knew about. So then they're like, right, we can move on these ones. Right. And there's not going to be any like comebacks because they're not meant to be there anyway. But then when you're taking hundreds of £1,000s worth of stuff off a certain firm because it's not meant to be there, and then they get pissed off, rather than them come and take you off the scene doing whatever, then they just set it up a little bit so you go away for a little bit of time. Shitbag.
So the things that were they're not supposed to be, was that because they were basically money laundering?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so basically, so it was money laundering, or it was basically a way of moving stuff, or they was, I suppose, in some circumstances they were actually stealing stuff, and then they were like then putting that container and moving it, and then obviously
that was getting moved on.
Right, got it. So you was thieving from the thieves.
Well, basically, yeah, from another firm, thieving from another firm.
Wow.
But then the other firm, then wasn't happy about the situation.
I'm sure
So,
it'd be quite upsetting if you every time you know every week £1 million worth of stuff's going.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but Dad done all right off it. To be fair.
Yeah. Was it all one firm doing it, or was it all different firms? Was it?
Well, that would have been my dad. He had 2 other Codys, all from the Telford area,
Right.
and then a couple of my cousins, and then a few people from just outside the area. So it was all one firm.
Right.
My dad used to be a bit funny who he'd work with. I think because like it was always like a family thing, you know, with his brothers and stuff like that. And they always said to me to keep stuff close.
Right.
And like I pretty much when I stopped keeping stuff close, you know, with my close knit, that's when I ended up pretty much up.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
So your dad, that was the last time your dad went to jail?
He hasn't been back since.
Right. So he's obviously seen the light and he's become a good boy. And then for you, like you said, 35, you've now got this, you've obviously got that. Was that the moment where you sort of had a bit of a revelation where you sort of just thought, like you said, you know, if I'd have done that to, if I'd have been them and someone done it to me, I'd have done that to them. So then you started sort of, did it kind of give a bit of clarity on the whole thing?
Well, pretty much like that helped with the clarity, but I had to realise that my luck was out, Terry. So far, I've had a cardiac arrest, I've had respiratory failure, I've been slashed, I've been stabbed, I've been in ICU a few times, I've tried to take my own life twice, all because my head's here, there, and everywhere, because of what I was getting up to. So I had to pretty much think there isn't much lives left in the bag of cats. There wasn't a cat with 9 lives. I literally had a bag of cats, but I was getting pretty low on the cats. And I went to. There's a big story to why I changed my life. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, of course.
Right,
do you know what's important for the viewers and the listeners of this podcast is they've heard the fucking madness.
Okay.
And it's like, what is the part that stops the madness? And that's the, yeah.
So I went to jail, yeah? And when I was in jail, there was a big fella that came in. Terry, his name was Dom, and he looked like fucking Don King. I'm not even going to lie. He was a big African fella, yeah. He had hair, how Dom used to have it. Everybody walking around the wing and everyone's on the landings and that when he first landed. Yes, Pastor. Wagwan, Pastor. Wagwan, Pastor. Going in, Pastor. So I'm thinking, all right, what's this geezer all about? Goes down, sees him, he's in a cell. They put him in a cell with somebody in the system at the moment. There's something called Mamba, yeah, which is a synthetic cannabinoid, and it comes in on paper and all the rest of it, but it fucks people up, yeah. They get all like fucking that, having fits and that all the time. It's horrible stuff, yeah. They put him in a cell, this geezer, in a double cell. This guy, he's massive. I don't mean massive muscles, just a big bloke. He looks like he likes his food and all the rest of it, yeah. But he's on the top bunk, so when he's jumping down, his belly's hitting the fucking sink and all the rest of it. So I've gone down, I'm talking to him. I've gone, bro, he says, you need to get out of this cell, man. He says, this geezer, he's fucked up. He gets in debt every single week, blah, 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 this, that. So he goes and speaks to the staff, because at the time I'm Jim Audley. He says, boss, man, do me a favour, man. I said, please get him a single cell, man. He says, he's jumping off the fucking top bunk. He says, he's bashing his belly and all the rest of it. He says, you've got him in there, blah, blah, blah. He's a fucking mamba smoker. So anyway, that lasts for a couple of days. He's still in the cell. Comes back one day, goes into the cell. He's not there. Goes up. He says, where's Pastor gone? Thinking his name's Pastor. Not Pastor as in the
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Pastor as in a religious guy. Then one day I come back and he's not in the cell. Goes up. He's got his flat double. Got a nice flat bed. He's got all his own space and all the rest of it. And he's like, thank you, brother, man. He says, that's what I need. He says, no problem, man. I said, then I got to find out what he was in for. And what he was actually a real pastor. His name wasn't Pastor.
Right.
He was a pastor in the community, a religious pastor, yeah. And he was in for bringing people over from his homeland because they were Christians and they're basically getting slayed because they're Christians, like bad shit, chopped up all hands and all that type of stuff gone. So then he forwarded their documents and got done for fraud and people smuggling. So there's about, I think there was 4 of them. And they've got done for that and ended up getting double figures for it. So anyway, when I got speaking to him a bit more, found out some more stuff that he liked because he was a nice bloke to speak to. So I said, what else do you like? His name was actually Dom. You know, people, anyone who's been in the system,
Don King.
Anybody who's been in the system will know him on about, yeah.
Right.
He's a great guy, and because he's African fella, he's like, everybody remembers him because of his accent and just being a nice geezer, just like brings a bit of joy to the landings and all that. But he's a big unit, like a big like your food type of unit, but a nice bloke. Anyway, I said, what else do you like doing? He's gone, I see all the black men getting their hair cut for a visit and that, so they look nice. He says, they can't cut hair. He says, I know how to cut hair. I says, do you? He says, yeah. I says, I'll get you some clippers, man. I says, I'm going to get you some clippers. So I went and done a few trays, a bit of contraband, got some clippers, took in some clippers. Next thing, every motherfucker before a visit is booking him up to have their hair cut because he can do the best fade, the best trim. Everybody wants to look good on a visit. But whilst he's in the chair, he's getting to talk to these lads. Some of them are serious gangbanging lads, yeah, but he's getting to speak a bit of word to him as well. Right. And I've seen what he was like and how he'd get the scripture and bring it to their life and trying to say, tell me some stuff. You go, the scripture to back that up. And these lads who would never usually open their heart to anything to do with the Lord would be like, oh, thanks, Don, man. I really enjoyed it. Yes, boss, man. Enjoyed our chit-chat, man, and all that type of stuff. So anyway, I'm in there with him then for nearly 2 years. Builds a relationship with him, shares some stories with him. He then says to me the day before he gets out, come grabs my arm. He goes, Chris. He says, please change the way you live your life. I says, what I done, man? I said, what's going on? He says, I keep it out of everybody. So the landings are like T-shapes, one that way, one down the middle. He says, out of everyone on this landing up here, he says, I keep having a dream about you. I says, what's a dream, brother?
You weren't naked, were you?
No. That's what I thought as well. And then a big black man coming and said, we need to talk in the shower. I thought, I haven't upset you. We've always got on. Yeah, I know. That thought did go through my head. Yeah, you know the one, Terry. So then he said, took me to the showers because it was private. Not for that type of reason, but because it's private. And he goes, I keep having a dream about you. He says, I need you to change the way that you live your life. He says, what is this dream? He says, we've got loads of people around you in a circle. He says, you're in the middle. He says, they keep beating you down and beating you down and beating you down. He says, you keep getting back up. He says, what are they saying? They're going, where is it? Tell us where it is. Tell us where it is. I'm like, fucking hell, man. I says, all right then. And I don't think I built up a relationship with Skeezer. I know he's a godly man. Right. He then said, well, carry on. He says, no, you don't need to know the end. You just need to know that part. So then I'm like, I need to know the fucking end now. He said that. So then he's gone. He says, how does it end? He says, you got a bag around your head and the cable ties and they just tighten it up. He says, all right then. So I'm like, that's pretty graphic. It's like a Quentin Tarantino fucking film, yeah? So then I gone, all right, Dom. I said, say if this ever does happen, yeah? And I did sort of like, I took it on board, but not fully. I says, how will I know if 100% of what you're saying has come to fruition, yeah? And he's gone, there's one lady there that's not entirely English. Yeah, out of everyone there's one lady there that's not entirely English. So I get to reception that morning. I'm like, fuck that. I am changing my ways, man. I thought I built a relationship with him. I've seen how everyone else is with him. I know he's a godly man. And I've spoke to him and I know he says he just had that about him. Gets out, does all right for about 3-4 months. I'm just not getting up to nothing, not getting my fingers in no pies, not finding out no information.
Who was the foreign woman?
Who was what?
Who was the woman he was talking about?
I'm going to get to it now. Right, listen there. So then, it's fucking crazy, man. So then, I comes into some hardship with some money, finds out about some lads that are from out of town, they're serving up a few bits and bobs. So I gets my kit ready. So there's a block of 4 houses. The house that I'm going to move on is the end one. But then I got to go to the one on the other end to get ready to go do the job. So as it goes in, I've got all my little kit in my bag, got my fucking everything I need, stuff to control the situation, stuff to cover my face, and all that type of stuff. Goes in there. When it gets in there, there's 3 lads in there. 2 lads that I know that I've grown up with. And then what they've got is they've got another lad there who basically, he gets benefits and that. He's on PIP, but he's got special needs, Terry, yeah? Right. What they've done, they've got him smoking, knowing that he's going to get paid at 12 o'clock. So basically they're terrorising him, knowing that he's going to get some dough in his bank at 12, giving him 1 or 2 pipes, making him all fucking scatty. And then they're going to go, make sure you get to, and they're saying it, make sure you get to the fucking bank at 12 o'clock. Well, I'm saying, lads, because these lads have grown up with, so they know the 3-strike rule, passive, assertive, and then we roll around. So first off, you do something that pisses me off, I'm going to go, do you know what, man? You no need for that, man. You can make me feel a certain way, man. Just can stop doing what you're doing. Don't listen. Then I'm going to come. I'm going to get in your face a little bit more. And I can tell you about how you're making me feel. And then if you don't listen, then we roll around and do whatever because you're not listening to the other 2 warnings. But I've grown up with these lads to know about the 3 strike rule. So the first time I've gone, lads, I says, I'm going to the end house in a minute. I says, I'm going to make the move there. I says, obviously, I have the cash. I says, we'll share the drugs that's there. Because obviously, there's drugs. And at the time, however, I'm still dabbling. So now, and they give him another one. Make sure you get to the cash point at 12 o'clock. Blah, 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 this, that. So I go, fucking hell, lads, man. Leave him fucking alone. You can see how he is, man. I can see what you're doing. Just fucking let him go home, man. I'll give you the fucking money, whatever he smoked. I'll give you the drugs, whatever he smoked with you. And I'll give you more when I've made the fucking move. Do you know what I mean? And then like, So then the 3rd time, then I stood up. As I stood up, the other geezer stood up, one of the 2 lads that I know and I've grown up with. I got into a bit of a fight with him. That's what all these little ones are around here. It's a fucking mad story. I got into a bit of a fight with him. I remember him fucking hitting me, Terry, yeah? I'm thinking, how the fuck has he got so hard off since I've been away? His punches, I could feel every single one of them. But he's obviously got the brass. He's got 2 knuckle dusters on there. So I'm giving him some fists. And I'm not doing too bad considering he's got dusters on. He's fucked up my eyes and all that shit. I can see the corner of the room, thinking, right, get him in the corner of the room. I can destroy him in the corner, and then that's him dealt with, and then I can do whatever. Before I managed to get to the corner of the room, whack, it's square there where you can see that little crucifix there, square there with claw hammer. Next thing, I've had to put all my arms up. It's been a right situation. Next thing, I've woke up in a cupboard. Yeah, because obviously I don't know what happened after so much for getting it hammers and all that shit. Just knocks you out, yeah. Wakes up in a walk-in wardrobe. A little bit of light coming through the 2 doors is shining through. I'm covered in blood. Stands up. The one side of my head feels a bit fucking heavy. So I've got up out the thingy. I've managed to bash my head. My head's gone like, say, like cut the side of the fucking door things there, the bit that's thing. Bash my head on that. The claw hammers fell on. They buried the claw hammer, the claw end, in my fucking head. It's not gone into my skull. It's gone between the skin and the skull, Terry. But it's there. Like you got 2 things on the back of a claw hammer. Just the one.
Were they out their heads, these fellas?
Yeah, they're fucking right, yeah.
Because that is a little bit over the top.
Yeah. So then when I've come out, they've got, and the mad thing is, this happened in the first house I had with my kids, but it's not no longer that house. But it was the first house I had with the kid. I'm not with the kids' mum no more. She's a beautiful lady, but it was the first family house we had together. And it was literally the bedroom that one of the kids had. I can remember the wardrobe, sticking his toys and that in there. So anyway, as I come out, they've got cellophane all on the floor. There's some train tracks probably from here to the front of this building away. And they were ready to wrap me all up with all the bits and bobs. Just dump my body on the fucking train tracks and just probably carry on doing what they're doing. Terry, I was in there for 1 hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, I thought I was in there 15 minutes. I had 3 rounds with him. I had the round in the bedroom. Then I woke up afterwards with the hammer in my thing. I had another round of him, got knocked out again. Woke up on the next, 2 rounds, sorry. Woke up on the next landing down the stairs. When I woke up for the 3rd round, I got up and my legs were just too fucking shaky. I thought, I've got to get out of here, otherwise these bastards are going to kill me, yeah? Gets down to the bottom floor, because it's like a 3-story property. Gets down to the bottom floor. And then the last window that I got out of, because there's a room down there, the woman that was in that bedroom, she was half English and half Polish. So it's just like the pastor said in his story. There was a violent incident. Yeah, I had to change my ways. I didn't change my ways. The window that I got out at the bottom was half Polish, half English. He wasn't entirely English. I didn't think of this at the time. I then gets an Osmond warning because I've been in another violent situation, which then means I get recalled back to jail.
Right.
I then goes back to jail. When I goes back to jail, Dom's not a fucking barber no more. Dom's not down a sweaty ass workshop. Dom's fucking chapel orderly. Yeah. So it goes down to church, not to not to worship, but to go see some of the lads, because everyone from all the wings goes down there. Gets down there. When I walks in there, they're all singing, he's got the whole world in his hands, he's got the whole world. And it reminded me of being at fucking school, man. And how happy
that was the song, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was how happy I was when you used to say the Our Fathers. You had the little blue book, you had them dodgy plimsolls on with maggots on the bottom, and the little stretchy band, them ones you used to have to wear, yeah? You know what I mean? And then it reminded me of when I was at school. And then I was like, boom, boom, boom. And then I remember being happy at school. And Dom Sin that came in, and he could see me sat on there and just thinking about what that song reminded me about. And he come over and said, "Hey, Chris, man, you okay?" I said, "Yeah, man." I says, "Dom, what you said happened, man." I says, "It wasn't exactly." I said, "Didn't have no bag round my head." I said, "I had a fucking hammer in my head, though." I says, "They put me in a fucking cupboard." You know what I mean? I says, "It was still pretty bad, like."
Yeah.
I says, "And the woman with the window that I got out at the bottom, man." I says, "She was half English and half Polish." I says, "It's like he said, man." He says, "Chris, you want to give your life to the Lord today, right here?" I says, "I think I fucking do, man. I need some help." Do you know what I mean? And then I said a prayer, asked the Lord to come into my life, asked him to forgive me for all the shit that I've done and all that type of stuff, and just let it be by his will, not my will, all the rest of it. And then I went back to my son, he said, and Don, before I left, he says, "When you go back to your cell, I want you to say your first prayer to the Lord, let it mean something. You know, say it with an open heart, yeah." So what I done is I got on my knees in the cell, and I said, "Lord," I says, "how the fuck do I keep ending?" I said it like that. I said, "How the fuck do I keep ending up here, man? How do I keep ending up in jail? How do I keep ending up in fucking Satan's playground? Just give me the answers, man. Just give me some awareness and help me to understand so I don't come back here." And then what happened is I wasn't ready for the awareness that he sent me. What happened first is I got the awareness of all my victims, all the false promises, all the chaos and carnage that I caused, all the fucked up situations, all the awareness that I wasn't really ready for, to the point where it affected me that much that there was a time when I didn't want to be here. And then I went through a dark stage then for about 4 or 5 weeks, holding that awareness and just knowing that I was that person. And then it come to me, and then he come to me. And I'm not saying he didn't come down on a big cloud, Terry. He didn't come down with some fucking 7 horses behind him and a big staff.
Right.
I just knew he was telling me, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone, but I'm a believer. Yeah.
Well, do you know what you were saying about that guy, the pastor?
Yeah.
And you said about he was having a dream.
Yeah.
Whether you believe it or not, and I know you believe, right?
Yeah.
And I do as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
you, if you're a spiritual person, you don't have to go to church. You don't have to be a Christian or a Muslim or, you know, a Jesuit or anything. You can just be, you know, a believer in God and have no religion. But if you're open to spirituality, sometimes people do get visions, and it's funny. You know, if you was a cynic and you went, "Oh, what a load of bollocks," you go, "Well, it wasn't, was it? Because he told me what was going to happen, and it happened." And like, then you might not have had the bag, but like you said, that was probably the closest you've probably ever been to death.
Yeah, 100% closest. Terry, I had bilateral mandible fractures on my jaw, yeah? I had plates either side. The surgeon said to me, there's only one way that you can get bilateral mandible fractures like that. So if your head's on a hard surface and then the other side's hit with something hard. So basically, when I was on the floor like that, they whacked my jaw with a hammer, yeah? Then, you can't see him, won't be able to see my coat. All these are little off the dusters. This one here, they broke my nose. My head was like a fucking basketball, yeah?
Wow.
But this here, that was where the hammer hit there, claw hammer there. Then I woke up in a cupboard. It was a violent situation. I am 100% lucky to be here.
Yeah.
And so then I went back to jail, done the prayer and then done the awareness thing. But then it gave me more awareness. And the awareness was, you're still here. How many times have I lowered down my rope and pulled you out of danger? Like I said before, there's been cardiac arrests through cocaine. There's been respiratory failure through diazepam off the internet. There's been a slashing where they went to slash my throat, chuck some drugs and some cash down, drug-related death. The police wouldn't have looked into it no more. They would look into it, but they would do. Chris is living that life, Booby's living that life, blah, 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 all that type of stuff. Myself, tried to take my own fucking bits and bobs. I have before took enough medication to wipe 10 men out.
Wow.
Yeah? And I'm still here. Yeah? I'll just wake up and end up me in a bit for a few days.
Right.
But so there's just loads of things. When there's stories between everything. But cardiac arrest, 2% of people survive cardiac arrest outside of a hospital.
Right.
Where I had my cardiac arrest, there was an ambulance parked outside.
Right.
What the it's not a coincidence. When I had my respiratory failure and I lay across the road, yeah, like horizontal, cars got nearly gone over my head because I'm thinking, I need to go sleep. fucking whatever. That's when my respiratory system closed down. Car's nearly gone over my head. Car's nearly gone over my legs. Next thing, the third vehicle's a fucking ambulance just in time to work on me and bring me back.
Right.
It's not a coincidence, yeah? There's loads of time. I could sit here and have a whole bloody 3-hour podcast on how I know that the big man, when I say the big man, the boss, the Lord, is 100% to help me out. I know that.
That's part 2.
That's part 2, yeah. Yeah, we got
but you're obviously part of God's plan, right? So because you've gone through this madness and you know, having have had that spiritual awakening or that change, when you look back now at, you know, everything you've been through, everything you've done, do you kind of have any regrets? Or do you think you're glad that you went through it because it's got you where you are?
If I wouldn't have done all the stuff that I was doing, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. You know, it's like your past is just a classroom. It doesn't have to be a sentence, does it? You know, my past is where I learned stuff, and it was the classroom that I was in. For me then to be able to go forward, but it's up to me whether I want that to be a sentence. Right. I've already done enough fucking sentences.
And obviously, this new path that you've taken, this new breathe business that you've done. I mean, why don't you tell us how that come about, and obviously, you know, what you're doing with that, because I think that's a massively positive message.
Right. So, started off. The first thing was getting the talks into the schools about 2-second decisions, like I shared. So I managed to do that. Got it in as part of the curriculum now, and all that in the Telford area, which I was thankful for. But then from that, I got brought to the table with a men's mental health company, which is a really good men's mental health company, and they're smashing it. But then there was a division, and some people went their separate ways, and then we created a men's mental health company called The Breath of Life. So at The Breath of Life, what we do is we create safe spaces for men. So we want, for instance, we've got one called The Talking Circle, where we get 15 to 20 men there on every Thursday night. We've got a WhatsApp group where people touch bases. Which basically creates safe spaces for men. So The Talking Circle is like, it's a bit like Fight Club, but the only rule is what goes on at Talking Circle stays at Talking Circle. Trust is a must. You know, when you breathe and you've got that going on, and people know that they can come and they don't have to share. You can have a positive share, you can have a negative share, or you don't have to share. You can just sit amongst men that, you know, are like-minded. I want to say lads from all walks of life. You've got lads from the forces, you've got lads from the building sites, you've got lads that work quite high up in consultancy with kids' homes, we've got preachers, we've got lads from life, every walk of life. It's a living, breathing database of awareness and understanding, Terry. You can't put a price on it, literally. You cannot put a price on it. So then what we try to do is we create relationships and friendships on all different levels. We don't deal in dictatorships. We deal in relationships, yeah? And so the Talking Circle is quite deep. Then we've got another one called Forest and Fellowship, where we do on a Saturday morning, and it's bacon sandwiches, bloody sausage sandwiches, vegan sausages for the couple that don't bloody eat bloody meat, coffees. But then we have a roaring fire. It's down by the river. You got the river, not even bloody 20 meters away. Got a roaring fire. And that's where we have a bit more banter. You know, it's not as serious as the talk said. It's relationships and friendships on different levels. We might talk about how we used to be, because we can laugh about it a bit now because we're not that person. Then we've got other spaces that we create where they can bring their families. So then it's not just, it might be a men's mental health company, but we're more than aware that if the man's suffering and you've got a good lady at home, or a wife, a girlfriend, or a partner, she's probably suffering as well. If the man's suffering in the house, then 9 times out of 10, then the children of the house will be suffering in one way. Not mean abuse, I just mean dad's not dad, you know what I mean? All that type of stuff. So it's called The Breath of Life. Why is it called The Breath of Life? Because we say, let the words that leave your mouth give life and not death. What creates those words, Terry? It's the breath. So then what we want these lads to do, while we have this, apart from the Talk Circle, that's a nighttime thing, all the spaces are usually held quite early in the morning. Why? Because we want you, when you go to work, when you go to the gym, when you go back to your families, when you go back, whoever you're around, we want you to have that breath of life in you. We want to be able to empower you. It's 2025, Terry. It's like, don't get me wrong, we all revert back to our granddads. We think a cup of tea and a bit of fresh air is going to help us out. Yeah, a cup of tea will help out because we've got 5 sugars in it. Fresh air is scientifically proven to help in the nature. But it's not about that, man. It's like, for instance, Terry, I don't know if this I do this myself and I preach not to do it, yeah? But you wake up in the morning, you rock up at work with all the bloody amazing team that you've got in there. So you right today, Terry? You go, yeah, man, I'm sound, man. And then you might go gym later. And then someone say to you, Terry, you all right today? You go, yeah, I'm sound, man. Really? You've got a fucking world on your shoulders. You've got shit going on, man. But you don't want to, you've got a rucksack on your back, but you don't want to talk about it because sometimes it's not looked at as being fucking manly and all that type of stuff.
Well, I also think as well, when someone says, how are you, right, it is a bullshit thing to say, right? Because no one actually gives a about how you are, right? And I think some people take it literally, where they and you know, I had a really dear friend of mine who was in America, and she was in her 80s, and first time I stayed in New York with her, I actually said to her, I said, how are you? You know, good morning, how are you? She went, don't ever ask anyone over 80 how they are, because you'll be there all fucking day. And I just thought, it's actually quite funny. And I think because people don't want to fucking share, oh, you know, I've had a shit morning, or my wife's left me, or I've got a big tax bill, or this thing hasn't worked out. They just go, yeah, I'm having a great time. Everything's fantastic. And obviously when you watch social media, and I also think social media is a big driver of people getting depressed and have mental health issues, because I think it's very difficult to look at social media and actually go, you compare it. You know, you see a guy with a six pack, or you see a hot woman if you're a woman. Why don't I look like that? Or you see someone on a private jet, or you see someone on a beach, or you see someone in a shop, or someone with a watch, and you kind of go, oh, you know, and then you start thinking, oh, I'm not doing that, so maybe I'm not really doing that well. And then for me, I don't give a you know, if you told me tomorrow you made 10 million quid, I'd be like, fucking happy days, just going to have dinner on you. Right? But I wouldn't envy you for it. I'd be happy for you. And I'd say, well, listen, how do I get involved? How can I make that money? Do you know what I mean? I'm happy for people, but obviously other people aren't, right? And I think what the majority of people do is when they're on social media, nobody will post out on social media saying I'm having a shit time. No. Or, you know, I'm not going on this shit because I can't afford it. People would just literally, I'm living a dream. I know people that are this fucking sad. They will actually go somewhere and stay in like a fucking, like, you know, one bed Airbnb, but then they go to a 5-star hotel and we walk around the 5-star hotel, yeah, I'm at this place and look at me and all this, and taking pictures of them, like pretending to get out the pool and all that. And you're just like, what a load of bollocks. You know, if you're there, and you want to share, fine. But if you're in that fucking one-bedroom place, you can just say, you know, I'm not living a dream yet, but I'm living this dream. And then people go, actually, do you know what? I can relate to that guy. But the guy who's pissing around, who's pretending to do this shit, like the best one is when they stand by the supercars and have a picture.
Oh yeah, no,
like, it's not your car. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. And the thing is, it's like people feel like they have to compete. Have to be in it, you know what I mean? And for me, it's like, I think from a manifestation perspective, from a positivity perspective, to actually want those things or to visualize having those things is good. But I think that actually knowing that you haven't got them and then pretending you've got them and then telling people you've got them, it's like you're living this sort of like falsehood. And it's all bullshit. And I think people, the one thing that I think a lot of this stuff has done is it's made people question everything. When you see something online, is it true? Is this real? Do you know what I mean? And obviously with AI, it's going to get worse, right?
Oh, God,
but I think what you're doing is phenomenal, because creating that space where people can unload or not unload, and sometimes just sit in a room hearing 10 people or 15 people telling you their shit will mean that you go, well, actually, my life's not that bad. Or they're compelled to go, well, actually, I've got something to say.
Yeah, exactly.
So it empowers them to speak. So I think it's brilliant what you're doing, Chris.
Can I just share one thing about what, just to sort of like let you know, sort of bring you into the world of why and how it makes you feel, right? So some of the spaces that we create, Terry, they can bring their families. And you know, when you sat down on a talking circle against another man, and other men, and you share something close to you, you can't help it brings you closer because you shared something personal. So when they share that with you at a table, and you know what they've shared, and you know what they've been going through, and then you got like a few of you that can chip in, or everyone, whoever, but they're speaking into their lives. Then when you have the spaces where the families come, and one of their wives comes up to you and goes, do you know what? He said he came back the other Saturday morning. He put all his music on. that he used to put on, like when we first got married. He says he was dancing around with the kids and all that type of stuff. He says he's fucking turning into the man I fell back in love with. Since coming to your spaces and since being a part of Breath of Life, he literally has got, they don't say it, but he's being a better person. So then to me, not a better person, the person they fell in love with. Right. So to me,
that's beautiful.
That's what it is, the Breath of Life. And that's why we do it.
Man. And anybody watching,
is beautiful, man.
Anybody watching or listening to this podcast, where can they find out about it? Is it on Facebook, Instagram?
It's on all platforms. It's called the Men of the Breath of Life or Breath of Life. So Men of the Breath of Life or Breath of Life. There's loads of stuff out there. I've been doing loads of stuff at the moment.
Well, send me the link, Chris, and when we put this out, obviously we'll have the link below, so people watching or listening can get involved.
Definitely.
I'm sure you get a few people.
I'm hoping so, because what I try to say is it's not unique to what we're doing. Ain't unique to our area,
right?
It's basically you need a space. You need to have a few little rules, and that anyone can do this in any manner. It should be popping up everywhere. If you've only got one sweet shop on a manor, someone's going to wake up and not have no sweets. Right. So the more spaces you've got popping up to create these spaces, the more chance of getting through to that one person and saving that one life. Suicide is the biggest killer of us men, Terry. Right. And the only way to be able to do that is to tap into your thoughts and your feelings, to try, not eradicate it, but be a part of trying to bring it down. Just talk about our thoughts and feelings and create spaces. That's how it is.
Well, I mean, that's an amazing thing. It's great to see, out of all the negatives and all the things you've been through, that you've now come up with this like positive way. Have you written a book?
No, I haven't. No.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
Do you think so?
You got to do it, mate.
Do you think so, Terry?
Yeah. I've actually got a few people, and obviously, from a filmmaking perspective, I think you make a great movie.
Yeah. I've actually got an idea. Maybe to talk to you off a camera if you've got 5 minutes. I have got. I can give you a little setting just to give you a gist. It's got everything in it.
Well, Chris, thank you so much.
Thank
you so much for coming on. Right. Yeah. Well, we've obviously been connected for a reason.
Yeah, we have.
Not just for the podcast, but other stuff as well. But no, Chris, thank you for coming on, brother.
Thank you for having
really
me
good to hear your story, mate. And I wish you all the best with the Breath of Life. I mean, it's great.
Thank you, Terry. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Criminal Connection podcast. Chris Booth, what an amazing guest. What a legend. Just goes to show, whatever you go through, you can always come out the other side and do something positive with it. Talking about positives, make sure you subscribe, because we can grow our channel with your help. It costs you absolutely nothing. You can watch, but subscribing is what allows us to get amazing guests like Chris on board and on the show. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you on the other side.